Good afternoon. Welcome back to Ugly Duckling Tarot with Ro. I'm Josh. I'd like to note that this is for educational and whatever purposes the one seeks to have. I choose to surround all beings in protective light through the upcoming changes. Those who are not being their true and authentic self may find it to become very uncomfortable. Immediately, the deck has been split. This reading will be called Navigating the Curve. And we split to Khadijah and Kali to remind us that every breath, in and of itself, is a death. We're breathing in, though fills the body with life, puts pressure upon the heart. And every breath outward sometimes may not be retrieved. I wouldn't say that every action has an equal and opposite reaction, because that's hearsay. The system has streamlined a lot of things and divided so much to make believe and pretend a certain reality while bending the curves all straight lined for themselves. Who am I speaking of? I don't know. But know that these two mothers protect us at all times, whether they be our two eyes, our two ears, our two breasts, our two ovaries or testes, our two legs, our two hands, the two hemispheres of our brains. But no, there's just one, as every one of us came from a single cell. There is no division in authenticity. Unfortunately, there's been what may appear to be an illusion, but is very real at the same time, of division in the world, where people have chosen to take certain stances and then felt that they were trapped in those stances, that they couldn't change. And that's a foolish thought, don't you think? As if joining a club or taking an oath or paying a due change you to permanent repercussions to serve and obey regardless. And when all things are bendable, that's not to say not to be true to oneself. And what that might mean. each has to find within their own heart. As we split to winter in reverse, which is take care of your needs. If each takes care to think of all others and to think of oneself, but that all is connected, then balance can be restored in any situation. Otherwise, then all of the oaths and promises become much worse than any addiction that could be thought of that, hey, this person's on this or on that, or hey, first place, they're on the top box, they got the gold. Oh, now we got to take them down. Yeah, but that person had a winner in their heart the entire time. And so I find that being honest and truthful, to feel the push and pull within ourselves about, it's not as simple as left and right, right and wrong, up and down, and opposites, division, sides, and placements. Where each placement, if we're looking at a circle, see, the thing about pi is it continues forever, but it's just whole. It's everything. It's all encompassing. It's hollow and it's intact. And I suppose that's why it was such a challenging thing to measure, even though such a basic construct, right? Nature makes circles all the time. Everything comes as a circle. A cell, a planet, a star, even our heads to some degree, and most importantly, the eyeball. But when you look out, do you see two? No. You can hardly discern yourself from the reality. And, most of all, you're entirely immersed within it. The separation is merely an optical illusion. And we have that within every, on the bottom of the deck here, that within every, there's the chance for freedom. It's where every child naturally lives. What's so great about that, teacher? It's just childlike instinct. And split to the drum. The beating of our own hearts. In every moment. Whether we can hear it or not. Because it's always here, isn't it? As the very first cell created that heart, very first, that has the higher knowledge of the brain within it. And all that ever came before in that very one, it became 8 before it decides to create the rest of the being around it. Now let's see some basic guidance. If you're still with me here. What did I say? Authenticity. It's natural. But it's divided on the card in a way to make it more palatable in the way that the world's been divided. It says compete with yourself. But with, yeah, it's a W. which is two V's, a double U, just two halves, one whole, and an I, spine, T, we each have a brow, and our ribs. And our focus is the ladder. With, that is all there is. As everything encompasses and works with the self. To be reminded, using a strange word, because everyone was made in the most inexplicable, magical, beyond any explanation, no matter how intelligent our instruments, nobody can find the mind. One person can take a bullet through the head and walk out of there like nothing, doesn't even know it. Quality of being genuine. Have you seen the inside of a cell? Just a single cell. And to think that atoms as cells made that. But the atoms did it all by themselves. They rearranged themselves. How do they rearrange themselves in a pattern to create the basic constitutes to create the first cell, and then continue to build to create anything they could see or feel or taste or touch, unless everything was already alive. And that's the most amazing thing of all, that there's nothing that's not alive. In fact, it's almost as if living things are the most dead of all. It's beyond fascinating. And how's the mind alive or dead if nobody can find it? But every animal just wakes up and goes, oh, I'm a deer. Oh, I'm a frog. It doesn't think that. It just already knows. And how does a volcano erupt? It has everything in it. It's just everything. It's lava. He comes out of black. It's all fire. And then it turns into everything else. How the fuck does that happen? So why would anybody be stuck in a situation, as hard as it is to believe, somehow everything's alive and we're the most, we meaning, I'm talking to you, I, we're here together, is whatever we want to call ourselves, is two minds discussing something as human beings. We think as the aliens on this planet, but the aliens is the two people that are communicating, because everything else does it without communicating. It already fucking knows everything. The quality of being genuine, honest, self-representation. That's just one thing. How does nature doesn't lie? I mean, even when it lies, it's not lying. And so it's pretty hard for any person to lie. But that's what's weird, of how good it can be done. Isn't that just astronomically on the opposite end of the spectrum, mind-boggling nonsense? That somebody could hide their intentions? If every single atom and space between the atoms constructing the entire reality was always around this, each of our minds, and the mind thought it was working by itself, and that the person was watching and perceiving and thinking and deciding, and And somehow you'd be like, oh, no, I'm not mad. I'm ecstatic. And they could convince somebody else that it's true, especially if they said that. True to character or spirit. Tied to conviction. Yeah, with conviction. We think of this as the bars. But conviction goes beyond ties. Because conviction is like belief and like faith. But it has nothing to ground itself on, nothing to reach towards, no possible way. To somehow make whatever it needs happen. But it sometimes don't even know. So how is that possible? Unless everything is everything. When the only real thing is the mind itself. And every else is a one as the pie without end. Where there's a will, there's a way. Yeah, but a will that ties to wanting something. Oh, I gotta have it. Gotta have what? I don't know. It's a feeling. Like needing to eat the first time or you've never eaten in your lifetime. Just like, I got this feeling. Like, how did Adam and Eve ever, copulate? Like, they're just like, can I check you out? Could you check me out? What do these things do here? Like, do they watch the animals? They're like, how the fuck did that happen? Since obviously it wasn't like that. And not like we just poof, just showed up. At the same time as it almost seems like humans did. There's these missing links. Where it just went from ape to, yeah, kind of an ape. Somehow, apes use tools. This one tries to make a home and clothes itself. But why would nature take away the fur and the clothing and make the person figure out how to do it? How cruel is nature? If everything is working in our favor, and the mind is always working everywhere, and yet nobody could figure it out. And why it would strand us in the middle of nowhere to die, but then it would raise monkeys to lose all their fur and go into the will, leave the comforts of themselves in order to have to figure out how to do things and then have to work together when the first thing that people, at least that were taught, is that greed and jealousy and but animals are like cats. They like fighting. They just do it for fun. All animals do it for fun. Sometimes it's serious, sometimes they're not. And sometimes, I don't know, they just snap. But people aren't like that. But we've been trained to be like that. Well, some. In order, I don't know, it must be nature. I don't think it was man. Nature must be doing all the work. To teach men to teach that they can't really learn it or teach anything really. And yet, how could we not? Firmly held belief or value, unwavering dedication to an ideal. But what's an ideal if you don't know what you're dealing? And you don't know who you're dealing to. And nobody explained the game. And we don't have any symbols. You go, okay, this is a $5 chip, or on this card, this card means this. How do you deal with that? It's amazing that human beings lived at all. Especially at this point, when war. But then this idea that there has to be war to keep production, or to keep the population down, or no, we need more people so they'll produce more. Well, we got to find new ways to use them. Oh, but, and the people that are in control seem to be the ones that are the most confused and doing the least. And yet, people pack up in groups for comfort, but then they find discomfort in their groups. But then, afraid of being independent, it's weird how human beings are becoming, I don't know if there's a word for it. It's like multifaceted, but extensions of nature. And the AI is just the thing in between. Like the dinosaur. So that people can be like, oh, look, I won the lottery. Tell me this. Okay, now I know it. I mean, you didn't even have to take the 30 minutes to go read it. It's like, tell me. And it's in a format. And language and spelling is interesting because it's been all locked into formats to signify things in the old structure. So everyone's subconscious or spirit gets locked into certain triggers and to protect against invaders, when the mind is its own invader and it's its own weapon against itself and tool for all. And who needs a fucking tool? Pardon my English. I mean, my mistake. It really comes down to fear. Well, what's fear? If the mind decides it's truth. And if there is such thing as rebellion, then we rebel against ourselves the most. But, yeah, with we, self. Is there a most? Or is there a least? Not really. It's never enough. It's always too much. But if it was as easy as, well, very for simply, even the body's smart enough to separate itself out. Everything that the brain needs is stored in the stomach lining. So it has to send a signal from the computer based upon nobody knows how it works. A thought, a feeling, a reaction. Where does it come from? All the way down here. To be like, hey, my mood's getting low. Oh, but that doesn't work, does it? You get depressed, and then it just kind of piles on. Are you happy? And then you get carried away. Isn't that weird? But it has to call ahead. But the head doesn't call. The stomach lining sends it. But that doesn't even make sense. But if it was all in the same spot, the brain just be like, I want serotonin. Boom, it's all gone. Now what? Guess we need to go eat something. Well, any other drugs in here? Oh, here's a pile of norepinephrine. Boom. Okay, that's all gone. Oh man, I kind of feel numb. Or I'm in pain. Oh, dang, I need to eat something. But no matter what we eat, somehow, for the most part, it all turns into the same thing. It all comes out the same. And regardless of what it tastes like, that almost has nothing to do with it. At the same time as it does. If it tastes good, then the stomach sends happy chemicals before it even gets to the stomach, even if it's poison. So as much sense as you can make out of the world, it's best, I think, for everyone to loosen their structure a little bit. And if you're going to make structure, it's a collage. I like it this way. Somebody else tells you? Oh, you know what that means? Do you? Oh, that's offensive. Well, look at it. I can smell you, though. And I didn't say anything. I'm dealing with it. You know, we can't decide how our faces look. You know, when we got a big old scar, whatever. And somehow that could be off-putting, or draw somebody to us. But really, what does it matter? What does it mean? It means that something bad happened. There's an accident. And the story doesn't matter. Fucking none of it doesn't matter. What does it mean? Nothing. It means whatever anybody wants it to mean. And it can change in 5 minutes. Oh, that must mean that that's a tough son of a bitch. Let me go ask him. He says, oh, no. I got drunk one night and I fell down the stairs. Or it was icy. It was icy, and I was carrying my granddaughter and down some stairs, some concrete steps. And it was icy, and I slipped, and I went like this and made sure that I tossed her over the railing into the grass, and I fell and it split my face right open. Oh, damn. My granddaughter's fine? Yeah, it's quick thinking, huh? Considering, shit, if I was thinking, I wouldn't have gone down them stairs. Or, I would have been holding on to the railing and let her walk and have her hold on the railing, and we could both scoot down on our butts. That probably would have been better for both of us. So we find each of our prison is, it's a moving prison. There's really no prison at all. Yep. I'll put that together. And we should do the best we can to enjoy every moment. Even though it might seem negative or positive or too much this way or that way. It's by experiencing it that things align. Because evolution takes time. And each of us is evolving every minute. But the change of a mind, well, you just have in a second. Just because you're like, oh, everything's so happy. You look at your phone. There's $1 million in there? I'm not sick anymore. I just feel fine. You forgot. let's do one more card while we're at it here. Yeah. We got the following card in reverse. It's just simple math. Nobody's following anybody else. Nobody's leading anybody else. Yeah, we're all strung together, kind of like those molecular bonds. Only they're loose molecular bonds, and so like it's stretchy, you know. But the web is invisible, so it's like all the things are moving along each other, but they push off each other at the same time as won't get too far away from each other because they attract back. It's kind of this push and pull, but neither because they can all slide past each other and around, but to keep the whole together. What's a mistake? We're working together and everyone's free to be who they are. I think that's the most beautiful thing of it all, especially if we're not encouraging anyone to. I mean, that's a weird thing in itself, encouraging and ordering people to commit to something based upon an oath they took, a promise, but then they're caught in the middle of it. And then they're afraid, well, if I don't, I won't have any money. But then nobody will respect me. Or, it's all fear-based. They say it has to do with the father wound. Each person not being naturally open and giving at the same time as isolated enough. This appreciation of balance. Everything and nothing is afforded to anyone. And who really has more than another? It only seems like it for a minute. But anything can make your day. Hope everyone has a good one.